Hi, welcome back to another episode of the Canopy Practice Success Podcast. Today I'm joined by Beth Whitworth, CPA, years of experience in public accounting. She's the owner of Accounting with Confidence based in St. Louis and also hosts a podcast by the same name, Accounting with Confidence. And as a podcast host and someone who works with someone, that is a full-time job in and of itself. So what a balancing act. I want to hear more about that. Beth is also passionate about helping business owners succeed with practical hands-on accounting support. And I'm excited to dive in.
Awesome. I'm happy to be here.
Yay. Beth, we've got lots of years of experience here. Your Accounting with Confidence is a new brand, a new adventure, I don't know, talk to us about that because you've done lots of things in the past, but you're now moving in maybe you have a new era. I don't know. Tell us.
Yes, I think that's a good way of describing it. I have been in the accounting industry and public accounting for almost 30 years and have been operating. I'm the sole owner. We've been in this version of my business for 19 years. And I was in a couple of firms before that. And once I started doing the podcast, it was like late 22 when I finally launched it. I realized that that is something that I really like to do. And so I got really involved with that and always had the name of Accounting with Confidence for the podcast. But as we moved into the last couple years, I sort of felt like I had two things going on. I had the accounting firm over here, and I had the podcast and the education and the coaching happening. And I thought, you know what? We're merging the two. And so Accounting with Confidence is what's going to essentially come out probably around the time you're listening to this is when we're launching. We're going to launch before the end of the year, coming out as Accounting with Confidence, and it will be still a full-service CPA firm with a team of people who are 100% part-time that we work with clients, small business clients. We work with not-for-profits, and I have a team that is completely self-managed. They're 100% remote. They're 100% part-time, and we don't do overtime. And I've now stepped into the role of educator, coach, doing all the things that I love to do and getting a podcast out so I can kind of share my story and my lessons learned and all of those things. So it's been very fun.
You just said a lot of buzzwords. You said part-time, too. You said no overtime.
Right?
That's like unheard of. Yeah, you are on the cutting edge, or you're doing all the things that I feel like are getting talked about so much that most people want to do. Let's start with the overtime because it is such a black mark on the brand of accounting, which is so unfortunate.
Yes.
But it's something that has been around for a while. It's an inherited thing that maybe some people even don't know how to shake. How did you conquer the beast?
Well, I started by the fact that my very first public accounting job was mandatory overtime starting on January 15th. I had only started with that firm in maybe, I want to say October or November. So I was a newbie to it. And they had mandatory overtime every Saturday. You had to come in for a half day in addition to your rest of your hours. And I didn't have anything to do. And then, right? So, but it was mandatory because that was what you did in the industry. You put somebody on salary and then you made them come in case someone needed you. Yeah, it was ridiculous.
You're setting yourself up to be needed on that day, as opposed to just saying, no, these are the standards. This is our SOP, our SLA, whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wild.
And it was a FaceTime thing. It not like FaceTime, but like putting in the FaceTime that's kind of what they expected, is to have the staff there working, 60 to 80 hours a week during tax season. And I said, just from that short window of time, when I have my own firm, we're not going to do this. We're not going to do this because it's not worth it. You're not giving 100% to anybody.
Yeah.
When you're on hour 60, 70, 80, I don't want to be the client who's got their tax return done when I'm that tired.
I think of that all the time. I have a best friend whose husband took the KPMG route, the public accounting route. And every end of March, beginning of April, there were 2 or 3 weeks where he as part of his team would go be at a hotel so that they could be closer to their client. I was like, why do we need physical proximity? It's 2020, whatever.
Right.
And putting in these hours, and I'm like, your brain can only do so much. And is the output that you're producing on 2 hours of sleep really?
Right.
This was even mind-boggling for me in college of pulling all-nighters. I'm like, no, I would rather get 6 to 7 hours and just wake up a little bit earlier, feel a little bit more refreshed, and do another quick take on studying or whatever.
I never quite got there when I was in college. I'm a big time procrastinator, so I was, there would definitely be, and I'm not a morning person, so.
Oh, but see, I am a morning person.
Yeah, so that became a problem. But now I look at it from the standpoint of what does the client want from us? They want us to be at our best when we're working on their project, their tax return, their financial stuff. And so we essentially plan and plan our capacity early in the year. We are 100% subscription model. So we are able to know who's coming.
When did you move over to being 100% subscription?
So the last piece of getting to 100% we did last fall. So this past tax season was moving our legacy individual tax clients onto a subscription. But all of our business, all of our bookkeeping, that was the last piece.
And being a subset of customers. So did you do cohort rollouts with subscriptions?
So new clients were getting put on subscriptions immediately.
Okay, perfect.
And then, and then the businesses I had gone to a monthly model, and then I went to a subscription model, and then and now that they're all encompassed essentially. If they have a tax return or bookkeeping, we don't do one-off. So if you only want your tax return done, you're not coming to us. And that was the big part of the 1040 legacy clients for us, was that they were only showing up once a year. And I was so frustrated I didn't know what was happening with them all year long. I didn't know that they suddenly inherited money, or their kid went to college, or they, any of these big things. And I said, okay, we're going to put a subscription model in place for everybody. So we touch them at least twice a year other than tax time, and they can reach out to us anytime. So, and that worked. But that was motivated by planning capacity so that my part-time people stay part-time all year long.
Okay. Again, you've done things that I have talked to so many people about conceptually, but to hear you say that you finished your full rollout, every single one of your clients is on subscription. But then you also mentioned another buzzword, at least that I feel like is a buzzword, capacity. And this is totally breaking the traditional model of accounting.
Yes.
And I think it breaks people's brains too of how do I do this? I think you already highlighted one big aspect. Do not take any net new clients unless they are on this, which means you need to do the legwork to establish what are my subscriptions. Therefore, how does that change my services? How does that change, to your point, legacy offerings? Yeah.
Yes.
That's a lot of heavy lifting, but it's, I heard this phrase a while ago that I just loved. It's you need to not only work in the business, you need to work on the business. And that is work that is on the business.
Absolutely. And I would say I don't do a lot of hands-on work anymore. Like I said, I do the coaching. I'll do, help people with software conversions and kind of choosing software and some of those types of things that are just they're more fun than doing a tax return. They're more fun than doing the bookkeeping. So I spend a lot of time on my business now, which is how the podcast has rolled into my firm and my part of my marketing strategy.
Yeah.
It's been fun, but it wasn't always that way. When I was in the business, there were times when it was very difficult to see the future. You're thinking, oh gosh, this is...
Because it's hard to look past the next 12 hours.
Exactly. And then another tax season rolls around. But it's been this way for a while now. So I would say at least the last 5 years, I knew I had the formula figured out. In 22, I was diagnosed with breast cancer and went through treatment. I found out April 8th is when I found out. And so I got through that tax season, and then I had treatment and was out for, I don't know, probably 9 weeks, where I didn't do anything for the company at all except our payroll every 2 weeks. And most of my clients didn't know I was gone. And that's when I realized I'm like, okay, my team has self-managed. They're managing the clients. They're taking responsibility. They're getting all of these things done. It's time to start sharing that with, hey, this can happen. And if you set yourself up right, take the steps, you can actually survive a crisis, survive a health issue, and not be so buried in the details of your business that you can't survive without you. So,
Yeah.
and that was good hiring, I would say. I have a fabulous team right now, but if I wouldn't have had it that way, it would have been a different story.
Yeah. Yeah. You said a couple of more things. You're loaded with golden nuggets. You mentioned self-manage again, which you'd mentioned before, but I wanted to come back to, which I think is just so closely intertwined with what you said of good hiring. We talk a lot on the podcast of just like, these aren't necessarily unique problems to accountants who run a firm. They are entrepreneurial problems. You're not alone. Other people in other industries feel this too. I say that to highlight that it is natural as someone who is building something, this baby, this big project that encompasses so much of your dreams. It is hard to remove yourself and delegate and to see as something separate from yourself, a
Yes.
different entity. But crucial, you already just highlighted, if I don't know anything more fragile than health.
Right. Yes. And we
And
all take it for granted.
yes, we really do. We really, really do. Whether that's mental health or physical health. Talk to us a little bit more about how you set yourself and your team up for success so that when that did happen, a full week before the biggest deadline,
Yeah.
it didn't throw a huge wrench into your business.
So for me, it started with finally making a conscious decision to hire a manager in my business. So someone that would be between me and the rest of the team. And I took a course on how to scale your business, and it was very, very dedicated to teaching you how to hire correctly.
Well,
So I used that formula and I got it extremely lucky. It was in 21. And so in November of 21, I had a manager that started for me. She was my accounting services manager. She was assigned to take 30 hours of work off of me. And she was taking a part-time position. So 30 hours is that's the max I hire for. And she hit the ground running and was a rock star. And she was managing, my 90-day expectations, she far exceeded it. And so she came in and she's a process and a systems person. So she
you need
complemented
that.
all of
We
those
talk about that
things
all the
that
time.
I'm
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
I have visionary entrepreneurial brain where she really offsets that very well. And I say all the time when I tell people this, had I not made that hire, I probably would not have been in business today
Yeah.
because I had to step away from my business and I was still so much involved in the day-to-day, the management of it, that to take those 9 weeks and take care of my health, one of the two things would have not gone well. Either I wouldn't have
Mm.
recovered as quickly or the business wouldn't have survived.
I want to double down on that really quick of like just the concept of not hiring just for the hard skills, but also hiring for that complement
Yes.
of what does this person bring to the table that I am lacking?
Yes.
Yeah, so crucial.
And I'm a proponent of sending those personality assessments, a
Yeah.
variety of them, because I know I'm a visionary. And so I know that to be a visionary in accounting is not always what is the norm. And, it's a lot of process people. And I am not. I am not a
Mm.
detailed process person. I'm educated in it, had a successful business, and can do all of the things, but it doesn't light me up.
Hence why you've started Accounting with Confidence and coaching.
Yes.
So talk to us a little bit about that and what you're doing with accountants, and maybe like, let's actually take the angle of like, what first big gap did you see in the industry that you're like, I can help solve this. I can help do more than just what's in my firm. I can help other firms solve this gap. Was there one thing or were there?
There were several things, lessons that I've had learned big time, relating to the overtime and that time isn't the currency.
It's
I
not.
mean,
You're not selling time.
we are not selling time and we don't even track time anymore.
I
It's
was
been
just
more
going
than
to
a
ask.
year. We don't track time. It was probably hardest for me to stop because I'd been doing it for so long, but we can now tell our clients we don't bill for time. We can't bill for time because we don't even track it, so that's great. But that was an eye opener. But I think the biggest thing for me was figuring out I had my own business. I'm the sole owner, had been in partnerships before and been a partner that didn't work out and said, okay, I'm never having another partner and feeling very much alone and like I should be able to know how to do all this. But that's not when you go to school and you get your accounting degree, you don't learn how to lead people. You don't learn how to, manage a firm and all of the pieces, marketing. I mean, all of those things. So once I figured out that I didn't have to do it by myself and that there are people out there that actually educate accountants and bookkeepers on how to build their business and leaned into that, I realized that everybody needs to know that they shouldn't and don't have to do it by themselves.
Yeah.
That even if you don't want to have a partner, there's people and there's resources and there's professional development and personal development and all of those things that are accessible. And so once I figured that, I'm like, okay, everybody needs to know. Everybody needs to know the things I learned, the things that I'm working really hard to change in the industry so that maybe we can attract some people. Nobody wants to come into public accounting.
I do.
Oh,
But
okay.
but you know why I do? Because I see all of these gaps.
Yes.
And I wouldn't want to be a CPA. I don't want to go back to school. But could
Right?
I start a firm?
Mhm.
I don't know. After talking
Yes.
to so many people and seeing like the gaps that there are, like you've identified in marketing, just process and stuff, I'm like, I could do that.
Yeah.
I think I'm getting a little inflated too after all these conversations, but there's still such a great opportunity there, and because I see it as low-hanging fruit too, and I
Mhm.
wanna say it that way because I want people who might still be stuck in the past way of doing things, and again, I do think a lot of people have just inherited things, and as a result, breaking free of these things is a little harder, but that these things really are pretty easy to grab. It's 2025, we've got lots of tech, we've got, not just even tech, we've got lots of great leadership business thinkers to
Mhm.
help you even process business modeling
Right.
and setups and things like that. That, again, to your point, almost anybody who's gone to school for any trade isn't going to be trained on the things that also accountants weren't trained on.
Right.
It's just that accounting is just such a business essential skill that I think sometimes people think, well, because I'm an accountant, I can make it work. I can do this because it's so,
Yes. Yeah. Like I
yeah.
did the hard stuff. I learned how to do the hard stuff. I can do the tax return. I can do that type of stuff. But when it comes to stuff that you're like, oh, that everybody can do that, right? No.
You know what one of those things are that I'm like, "Oh, this is the actual hard thing?" People management. It's hard.
Yes.
And
Business
this
is fine. It's
yeah,
managing the people
yeah,
that is the
yeah.
struggle.
It's getting your people, and I'd love to actually dive into that because you've mentioned that your people are self-managed,
Mhm.
which is just so huge. I'm a big proponent of giving people autonomy, the ability to succeed. Most adults want to produce and want to produce well and want to be confident and be praised and different things. But again, as an entrepreneur, it is almost second nature to still hold on to things that can inadvertently not allow your people to soar and to
Right.
do those things that then would retain them and then would actually accelerate the growth of your business.
Mm.
What are some of the things that you did early on to ensure that they would soar?
Yeah. So we've always worked on under a premise of I'm not the only one communicating with the client.
Mm,
And I had a lot of legacy clients that have come with me through various firms. And so when I started my own, I had clients who'd only ever talked to me. And it was a little bit of a struggle to get them to realize that there's someone else who is they're able to do the job. They're confident that they can do it. And I'm always a good resource. And so I've always said they need to be able to communicate with the clients and not have this wall that's you do the work, but I talk to them because
That is a good place to start. Yeah.
yeah, because that was one that was exactly where when I started in this little regional firm, that's how it was. I never talked to the clients except when they were upset saying, "Oh, I got the new person again."
Which does favors, and you're like, oh, but
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, and so I also we try to keep, the clients with that person and try to keep our people a long time and have had really good success. I have one woman who's been with me since what I consider went out on my own, which is when I left a firm in 2007. And she's been with me since then. She got married that year and she's had 2 kids and now she's got a teenager. She's been with me so long. But it's great because she's been able to see all the iterations of our business and
Yeah.
how I am still, she's growing. I mean, she has grown with me. She did not know anything. She had an accounting degree, but not a CPA. And it was her first accounting job, really. And she just has grown with me. And I love it. And now currently we're working on a bonus plan that is values based. So our
Mm,
firm values are rolled into this plan that everybody, if they achieve these things during a quarter, they can participate in the bonus plan. And it's things like, you know, sitting in on a coaching call and documenting the follow-ups. That's one level. The next level would be to do the follow-ups yourself. The next level would be you did the coaching call. And so we're getting them to grow some skills so
yeah.
that one, like you said, it gives them that sense of being a part of something and growing with the company and feeling rewarded. And so
Yeah.
that's our newest endeavor.
I love it. So everybody take this with a grain of salt because my entire career has been in tech and I know no different. And I don't know why tech is different. If it's just because it sprouted up in the modern world due to the internet and the nature of it being a newer thing. And therefore, we didn't inherit cultures within, like, I think law as well, and even medicine. Similar cultures continue to get passed down in those industries. A lot of the things that you've talked about, I've had since the inception of my career. I've had clear designations of what my job is. And what you were just saying, I think is just so brilliant because I love so much of what comes with tech that I'm like, guys,
Yeah.
steal this, do these things. Even saying like, here's what you need to know to work to the next level. Having processes, HR-ish
Mhm.
documentation like that to make it clear as to what a person can work for, strive for. A big thing in tech is like, it's not uncommon to tie someone's bonus or earning potential to the performance of the company.
Mhm.
And to your point of like even going to subscription and not even time tracking. Again, I love that so much. And I want to dig into that a little bit more because you even said how difficult that was for you. I'm sure it was muscle memory of like, but what do I do?
Yeah.
And I know people are concerned about, well, how do I make sure I'm pricing correctly? There are lots of tools and things I'm sure you used. Anyway,
Yep.
maybe I just stop there,
Yeah.
because I could go on and on and on, but I feel like that moving from away from time into subscription then opens up this floodgates of things like being able to offer bonuses based on the firm's performance and profitability. And yeah,
Yeah.
I'll turn it over
It's
to you.
well, it's was crazy because the most pushback I got on not keeping track of time was actually from my peers in the industry who were like, "But how do you make
Yeah.
sure
Yeah.
they're staying within the budget? How do you make?" And I'm like, "The work's either getting done or it's not, and we have a system, practice management system, that actually gives due dates so we can track, part of our performance is, how many jobs do you have overdue? How many
Yeah.
jobs did you get done before the deadline of the job? So there's way more metrics than just how many minutes did you spend on the job because I fought tooth and nail with somebody on the time isn't accurate anyway. No, but nobody is giving you 100% accurate time. You might have that one person, but if they're giving you 100% accurate time, they're taking a whole lot of time just to do that.
Yes.
That is not, yeah. So I spent a time saying, there's people who can't remember what they worked on at 9 o'clock this morning. They made it up, so it's not accurate. So let's stop. Let's stop wasting the time. And you know what it did was free up a whole bunch of time for the people who were tracking very accurately, not having to do that, and they're get more work done.
Now, I have a bunch of colleagues who worked in agencies, which does come with time tracking, and I've heard horror
Mhm.
stories, and I personally have never experienced that. Do you feel like there's a level of stress that also is removed by not tracking time?
Yes, because I believe that if you're working on something and something came up and caused it to take longer, you get that pressure of, oh my gosh, they're not going to be able to bill for this, or this is going to be, they're
Yeah.
going to know that I took too long, or and so they're either going to let it fly or they're going to change it. And there's this, I firmly believe that we stand behind the whatever it takes to get the job done correctly. And there's a certain point where if you feel like you're struggling, you need to reach out. And, so if you think something's taking too long because you don't know how to do something, we don't just leave them hanging,
Yeah.
but otherwise do what it takes to get the job done. And if that means you have to do a little extra this month because you're helping out that client who didn't have time to accept his own bank feed or whatever because he's going through a divorce or his, mom is sick or whatever, we do that. And we don't have to worry about the time. Just help them. And they don't care how long it takes.
Oh my
and
gosh,
and
seriously.
they're
So
gonna get paid. We're gonna get paid the same anyway. And we make it up other places. And it's also a firm wide, you're gonna take hits over here sometimes and you're gonna make up for it over here. And it can't be for me, I'm not a client by client profitability person because I know that I price some people because they need the help and that's what they can afford. And I know that there's other people that we're probably going to make money on this because it's a lot of work, but we can do it pretty quickly.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I love it. I wish we could say those things 100 times over. I think there's also I usually like to cite studies for things like this, and so I don't have a study to cite here, but I do feel like there's a level of productivity gains that come when you're not stressed or when
Yes.
you can decrease stress, when you're not in fight or flight. Your immune is it your immune auto I don't know anatomy. I'm not
Your autoimmune
yeah.
system, yeah, that can
Um,
be,
yeah,
yep,
and it
makes you
inhibits
sick.
your ability to produce good outputs. And again, to your point of like, I just love that you said, in fact, we can't. Have you ever had clients say, but are you tracking time? I want to be priced by time?
I have had people that request, "Well, I just want to be billed by the hour," when I give them a subscription.
Mm,
And, I said, then we are
no.
not the firm
And,
for
and it's
you."
probably just something that they're used
They're
to.
just used to. Yep, yep.
But
Yeah,
have you
or they
lost
think
a
that
client
it
over
only
that?
I lost some when I went to the legacy stuff,
Mm,
when I went to the subscription from the legacy, there were some that were just like, "Yeah, I just want it the same as it always has been." And I'm like, "Well, we
right.
can't do it the same as we always have been because we don't track time anymore."
Yeah. And then and that's scary. And you say, there's this firm down the street.
Right?
We'd be
And I
happy to serve you.
have a
And you
list.
just have to trust the process. Yeah.
Yes, and it was scary. I mean, when I hit the email button to send that out last year, I was like, "What did I just do?"
Yeah. But Beth is here to tell you to take the leap,
Yes.
jump, go for it.
Just do it. That's what the podcast episode I recorded just this week, that's the name of it. Just
Ju-
do it. If you've been thinking about something, if you've been don't wait because you
Yeah.
never know what the future's gonna bring, so just do it.
Seriously though. With that said, take a listen to Beth's podcast called Accounting with Confidence. Because you should. You have every right to be confident. I say that phrase all the time, and so I love that I'm able to say it here in reference to your
Yeah,
brand and your efforts.
I
Beth,
love that.
thank you.
Thank you so much. I love talking to you.
Yeah, likewise.